sports fans and all people out there who have never been to the Hawaii Sports Fans page before. I'm the founder, Wayne Coito, and here at Hawaii Sports Fans, we're all about making those moments matter. And some of these moments include being there for our UH football team, whom we love so much. And today we have a very special guest. I'm going to bring her in right away, and that is Ms. Pennie Leigh Graham. Aloha, Auntie Pennie. Can you hear me?
Aloha. Yes, I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so happy to be Auntie Pennie.
Well, we told you when you got here and you came into our fan base, and everyone's so excited to see you. Everyone's so excited to meet you. But having that proper, our intimacy in Hawaii with how we spread aloha with each other, and we're almost like family and ohana. So, Auntie Pennie seems to be the perfect moniker for you. But we're excited, Auntie Pennie, to have you come and join us in Hawaii. And you talked about you actually are not in Hawaii right now, but will be very, very soon, correct?
Yes, I actually plan on a couple trips back, but I'm waiting for the quarantine to be lifted. We're in Scottsdale. I've made 3 trips, and actually we're moving into a house this week, but I won't be there.
Wow.
Doing it with his staff and our son. And so, but excited to have a home, and I can't wait to get there and just have our big bash with our football family, and get to spend time with the players and the fans.
Well, you are someone that really loves to spend time with players and get to know them and really be a true mom for them and away from their families. And sometimes they're coming across country, and there'll be many of them coming across the entire Pacific Ocean to get to be able to play for Coach Todd Graham. But what is it like for you in that particular role that you love so much?
It's just a pure joy. I've gotten to see so many incredible young men go from being boys to fine gentlemen that grow into incredible fathers, incredible husbands, and incredible men. And so it's an absolute pleasure, and it's one of the biggest rewards I have as coach's wife.
Well, being able to come to Hawaii is also, like we say, something that's really exciting and special and unique. But besides, just our islands and the essence and the vibe of and the aura and everything that makes Hawaii what it is, playing football. It's the game is the same everywhere. And I know you're a big football person yourself. You know just as many X's and O's as most of the coaches out there. So when I bring you on here, I was like, I want the person who's kicking Coach Graham in the butt sometimes and is giving him the pep talks. And we know, Auntie Pennie, how much you love your those who come in, those recruits, but those who are our alums, those who go on, and those particularly who move on to the NFL. And just talk about this last draft, since this is our this is our draft wrap up, and what this experience for the draft has been for you. It was a draft unlike any other that's ever been done before, so there is a lot of precedent there as well.
Yes, it was so fun to see the NFL coaches' families and the general managers' families and being at home, and it being much more relaxed kind of atmosphere. Even for the players, I've seen them sit in their suits so stiff, waiting to be called, and this is much more, I think, family friendly.
Yes.
And so I did love that part of it. It was just exciting for me when Brandon's name was called. So I have a big, I don't just love my players when they're playing for me. I continue to follow them throughout their lives. And in fact, we had 4 marriages that were supposed to happen
Wow.
this month, and that had canceled players because of the pandemic. Um, but it was just awesome. So one of the things that I do, because when I became a college football coach, I couldn't pick a team because I would never want to root against my players.
Mm-hmm.
Now my rule is that I cheer for the team that has the most of my former players on it. And so it was fun yesterday. So Cole got picked first, of course, but then we had Tommy and Kyle and Kaylin also be free drafts for the Titans. So I have a big reason to root for the Titans this year.
Wow, so many connections to the Titans now.
Yeah, yeah. And then also Eno and JoJo are going to the Cardinals, which I already had 3 former players, one from Tulsa, 2 from ASU on. So I've got 5 players on the Cardinals. So it's pretty exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you had two couple stops recently, right? You were in Tulsa, you talked about, and that's where you came to Hawaii and run amok or passed amok on our Rainbow Warriors back then. And now you switch sides, and it's crazy all the parallels because Coach Kenny also was there, and I remember him just lighting up the scoreboard on us that day. But talk about your memories maybe of that particular game, that time you came to Hawaii, and now being here, and how crazy it is that you're now back.
Well, of course, so one of the special memories of that trip was a lot of our kids had never seen the ocean in their entire
Wow.
life, like more than 50%. So it was such a complete joy for them to see the ocean and the beach and touch it and just the welcoming spirit of the Hawaiians, and it was just an amazing time for our players. But then the other part of it was at the game, the Warrior fans were fierce. I felt a little intimidated at times because they were loud and they weren't very nice at times. They were really, you could tell they loved their team. So I am so grateful to be a Warrior.
Well, hopefully, we those type of fans, we're all about positivity and aloha, so we want to keep spreading that spirit. And we know what you bring, the spirit that you bring to this team is different. And your relationship with the players, we talked about that. But, talk about some of the transition, what it's been for you in this role as you're transitioning as well to become one of the coaches, or a coach, really a coach, de facto coach for the University of Hawaii, which is really what the coaches' wives have always been. But just talk about what that's been like for you.
Well, it's been fantastic because, the Hana spirit that surrounds everyone's so helpful, so caring, and I know they want to give you information. They want to provide you with anything that they can to help the transition. And the fans have been awesome. I speak to them on my Facebook, on Instagram, and they've provided me a ton of really great info as far as looking for houses, what church I want to go to, and some things about our family. We do have a senior who's going to go to the University of Hawaii. Well, he's a junior now. He'll be a senior next year. But so we will
Nice.
have...
Wow, another Warrior then in the house.
Yes, we have a Warrior.
Woo!
I'm really excited about that. And then our oldest, Brandon, Bo, is coaching for the Warriors. So
that's right.
We already have a big team that's supporting that. And I can tell you, Bo is in hog heaven because he's living, half a mile from the beach.
Oh, I'm sure.
Come true. He's a surfer, and he loves Hawaii.
Well, talk about that. I mean, living in Hawaii, you've lived in so many different parts of the country, so there's no doubt that the Grahams can live anywhere and can acclimate anywhere. But what will it be now living in Hawaii? What will be different? What will be something you miss from other places, maybe? But what are you looking forward to?
So for me, I am just overjoyed. I think Hawaii has that ohana, aloha spirit that I've always wanted to be kind of my mantra. But not have always had a community that supported that. So I think it's going to be awesome for our family to live in a community that is so family-centered and community-centered and so loving and so supportive.
And you talked about this community, and in Hawaii, we are all about wanting to make the most of our relationships and be outside, and that's something we all wish we could do. And before we do that, and I know in this time that we're all living through, and we want to get through to fall. So what are the feelings you're thinking about as we think about football season this year coming up?
Well, I'm just staying positive that it's going to go on like it's supposed to, because I'm really looking forward to that game on August 29th in Arizona.
Yes.
I can bring all my friends, and so not only will we have our Warrior family there. We'll also have a whole nother group of Warrior supporters. So I'm looking forward to that, focused on that, preparing for that. And until something changes, then I'm just going to go ahead as planned.
Well, you like to make videos too. You're somebody that likes to be active on social media, and talk about where that comes from.
So I am so old, but this is to tell you how old I am. When I was in the classroom, I was one of the very first teachers with the internet. And so that was in 1994. And so that got me on the technology wheel, and the future of technology and how we can use it. And then I started another master's degree. I'm a continual student. And
wow, that's amazing. So where is that at?
So I started it at ASU.
Okay.
In social media, in social communities, how social communities, and it's a multidisciplinary degree, and how we can use social media to create bigger communities. And so this is a passion of mine, and because it also grew out of the fact that I wrote a book, Tenacious. And audiobooks coming out next month, hopefully.
Yeah, drop that. You plug that all the way. Tenacious, I know. You talk about that book.
You just set me up for that. So, at the Chance of Change, you can find all kinds of information about Tenacious and my blogs and my writings, and lots of information about Todd too, and some cool pictures.
Well, we also are excited to have you not only be a part of our football team, but a part of our island makeup. And living in Hawaii, our culture is so different, and our food is so different. I mean, a lot of the same, but just a amalgamation of all of these things around the world. And you've lived everywhere, so you've tried everything as well. But in Hawaii, what particular dishes have you become accustomed to, or maybe want to try but haven't yet?
I think I've tried almost everything. I'm not a eater. I love a great barbecue, and that's what I found in Hawaii that I love the most is their barbecues.
Have you had spam musubi yet? Have you had our spam musubi, and you like it?
Yes.
There you go. Okay, that's a big one. So spam musubi, malasadas. I'm sure you went to Leonard's. You're right down there, right by the school.
Leonard's yet, I don't think, but I've been so many places.
I've seen. I enjoyed all your photos going around Waikiki and really starting to acclimate yourself. And you're gonna be just like another local, just chilling at the beach. We're gonna see Auntie Pennie on her towel and chilling over there at Waikiki. But thank you, Auntie Pennie. And we wanted you also to stay connected with us. So if you want to follow Auntie Pennie, she's on Instagram at Pennie Leigh Graham, and she also. You said you're on Facebook, but Twitter is kind of too much of a jungle right now for you.
Twitter is, too unruly for me.
Well, we want to just thank you for joining us. Mahalo nui. We love how you're picking up on so many local phrases too. I've seen you using them and typing them on Facebook, so that's the way to go, Auntie. So aloha, mahalo, and. We'll definitely have you on again so you can continue to meet people. But that's Auntie Pennie. For those of you in the comments, stick around. We're going to bring up our panel. But aloha, Auntie Pennie, and we'll be right back. So stick around.
Mahalo. Go Bows.
Someone who is not going to be irrelevant is Cole McDonald, the quarterback out of Hawaii, goes to the Tennessee Titans.
You in the war room, because we didn't have a war room this year, right? There are no draft war rooms. I'm actually kind of glad those are gone, to be honest, because those are kind of annoying. But we got to see everybody huddle in, so that's like us, the four of us, crammed into this screen. But I got my boys, my panel, my guys I always turn to when I got to talk about UH football. So I'm going to start with my boy, Sean Iman. Sean, what's going on today, man?
How's it going, Wayne? I'm great. Go Bows.
Go Bows. And we got Shane. You got your fellow Seahawks fan there next to you. What's going on?
What's up? What's up?
And we're bringing in Raider Nation. Well, I didn't mean to step on you, but you know how Raider Nation is. They don't want to be waiting in the wings too long. So I got Sean Hildebrand, my Raider in paradise right here as well. But we're going to talk about this draft. If you can see on the screen, I'm showing some of Cole's highlights. And we're going to talk about Cole McDonald first of all, because, that's our boy, Cole McDonald. And this is a boy that we wanted to see play in the NFL. And finally that day came yesterday. I'm going to start with you. Sean Iman, we'll start from the left. And just your initial reaction to Cole being drafted.
I was super excited. I think it's a great place for him. He'll get the backup. He'll sit behind Tannehill. So he's got some stuff he's got to work on. He's got to work on that little hitch in his throw, so he doesn't drop the ball, so the defensive ends won't make him fumble. He's got to work on his footwork, but I'm really happy. I think it's a great place for him.
Shane, what about you, man?
Same thing. I believe it's a good fit for him. A good chance to earn that backup role. The only thing I'm concerned about is I'm not too fond of Tannehill being his mentor. You know what I mean? No offense, Tannehill.
Oh, Sean, what do you got to say to that, though? My Raider Sean.
Oh, he's frozen.
Oh, he's frozen now. Well, we'll bring him back in. But are you back with us? Okay, you're back with us.
He's back.
Okay, he's back.
Talk about it. We're talking about our boy Cole in Tennessee. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I thought he fell to the value he kind of deserved. I felt like fifth was too high. It was either sixth to undrafted free agent. It was accurate per the reports, per his own measure. He did an interview and he said he was attached to the Jets, the Eagles, and the Titans. And once we saw the Eagles take Jalen Hurts in the second round, which was a shocker, I knew already to cancel that one. I felt like the Jets, they play in a lot of cold weather. I didn't think that's a good fit for Cole. So I think the Titans was a perfect spot for him to go. You lose Mariota, Ninth Island Project out there in Las Vegas, and you replace him with another guy. I think what they like about Cole is his athleticism. I thought Sean hit it on point that, he needs to work on the hitch in his throw. He's been working with Burrow down in Southern California. I mean, he's been throwing balls with some of these elite quarterbacks, and people have seen him and say, who's that guy? I believe it was Todd McShay or another guy was saying, well, I didn't know who that was because no one recognized him because he cut off his dreads. And then people said, well, that's Cole McDonald. That's the UH quarterback. And then people were like, wow, the ball's coming out pretty live. He's a very motivated individual. I think it's a good place. It's a good fit. Tannehill got a big deal, but if you look at their skill sets, Tannehill can run. He has athleticism. He likes to throw it downfield. He kind of struggles with the intermediate stuff, and Cole's kind of similar. So he's in a good position, and good for him. I'm glad he got drafted. Hawaii needs a lot more respect in the draft, as we see they kind of screw up a lot of information about our program.
Exactly.
But great landing spot. Happy for him, man.
Well, you talk about, we're back to Sean Iman. Speaking of this being a good spot for Cole, talk about playing opportunity, this being a good spot for Cole.
Well, I think he can come in like how he did with UH. He can come in and do some RPO stuff initially, maybe like 2-point conversions or down by the goal line. But I think it's good just for Hawaii fans to continue to root for a Hawaii quarterback in Music City. You don't have to get rid of your, that other jersey that you might have. it's great. I think he's got a lot of stuff he needs to work on, but
Well, Shane,
the future's bright.
We talked about Cole, a lot of different destinations as well. We were hoping, maybe some people are hoping maybe Seahawks, but there are a lot of fits out there for him as well. Why don't you think he was taken higher potentially? Why do you think 7th, and why don't you think he went free agent? Why? Talk about that.
Who, me?
Yeah, Shane.
Oh, how come? Well, if you just look at his this past season, I mean, he had his little sense of glory, but to get benched as he did for his performances, I know that was a big topic with a lot of scouts.
So you're saying that was probably something that could have affected his draft status? Was the game?
Yeah, definitely,
okay.
definitely. The
Sean,
inconsistencies in his play, sort of speak.
Yeah, we're not debating whether it was valid that he sit out, because it was a good argument for him to not play that game. But Sean Hildebrand, talk about just that Cole's senior season and how that placed him where he is. Do you think that because he ended strong against BYU, that was his career high game, right? So I mean, what a way to go out, a bold victory. Do you think there was anything else he could have done?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things he could have done better. I mean, you just look at, like, kind of we're all hinting at, there's not many quarterbacks that get drafted high that have been benched in college, so that's never worked well for him. So he had some things to clean up. Part of that, I do think, has a little bit to do with Rolovich's style of just rolling the dice and flipping to another quarterback and wanting to change momentum. But Cole really, he struggled with his short, immediate passing game. And I remember seeing some games. It's interesting because a lot of people, like fans that don't know anything about Hawaii football, they're like, oh, I watched YouTube highlights on Cole. This guy's great. And I'm like, he's been benched before? They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, multiple times. He's had to sit on the sideline and watch his, people don't know that. But when you're at the game, I know he's hard on himself.
Yeah.
He wasn't a natural passer out of high school. He ran a lot. He was an option read guy. So he had a lot to learn. So I think his value falls also because he doesn't take a single snap under center. So some teams value a guy that can make a play action throw where your back is to the defense. Cole never did that. You're in shotgun. You see everything develop in front of you. You never have to, create your mind in that type of read. The way the run and shoot is ran, it goes against you sometimes. Again, my comparison is, if Gardner Minshew can't do what he did with Jacksonville last year, why can't Cole get a similar opportunity?
Yeah, I totally
hopefully
agree.
He gets that in Tennessee. He's not scared to throw it, which is, for better or worse, I like the gunslinger attitude. And his athleticism, if he's hesitant and apprehensive, he can take off and run. He's the fastest 40-time quarterback in the draft.
Absolutely.
So good for him. I think those are reasons why he fell. And he has a lot of time to polish that up with an NFL pedigree of coaching staff around him now.
Well, and also the good part of that, you talked about having that chance to step in the role. Logan Woodside, who is in front of him right now on the chart, right? He played in the Alliance of American Football last year, was drafted in 2018, the 7th round by, I think, the Bengals. So similar position, obviously has a few more years of development under his belt, but definitely a place for Cole possibly to sneak in there and get a backup job. And like we said, we never know. Gardner Minshew ended up being the starting quarterback at the Jags last year, so anything is possible. But Cole wasn't the only one. Right now we got some highlights playing on the bottom of our screen. You see some of those receivers that he aired the ball out to. One of them in particular was given a free agent contract. So we're going to go the other way around. So I'll start with Raider Sean. Talk about JoJo Ward and just your impressions there.
Yeah, it's interesting looking at JoJo and Cedric and Marsh, and a lot of the players that we see that come out of the run, shoot, play wide receiver. They're smaller, they're quick twitch guys. They're not recruited because of they have these insane measurables. They're quick, they do well open in space, and they can break off coverage. So JoJo is a big play guy, and he's made a lot of circus catches. He controls his body well. Obviously, the small frame guys, you have to play that way because you're not going to be able to get off and press coverage in the NFL. So he brings a lot to the table because he does have return capabilities. A guy like that, you have to have special teams value. They're not just going to keep you because you're short and fast and quick. You have to be a punt gunner, or you have to run down on kickoff. You have to bring something else to the table, or return punts, or return kicks. So JoJo Ward has some of that. Being at Aloha Stadium, I'll never forget some of the plays he made. I thought he was sensational. Really has good concentration from hand to eye, which is important. I think he's a guy that can absorb some catches. We looked at what happened with Rusua last year. A highlight reel player, dropped in the 7th round. He's got a nice little role on the Seahawks, as I know Shane and Sean know. At the end of the year, he got a little bit more run, and he's a guy that can develop. JoJo's got to be looking at the same thing. He's got to accept the role, find a way to make it 53. It's hard in the NFL because some teams only dress 5 wide receivers, maybe 6. So you're really chipping away. Maybe you get on a practice squad, and if someone gets injured, you get your time. But nice, fast, quick-twitch player. He can play in the slot. He can play outside. He's lined up a lot of places. After the catch, he can do some things. So good for him. I hope more of these UH guys get a little bit more respect because they spend so much time in this high-volume passing attack. They're just accustomed to getting open and knowing route concepts and how to read zone coverages and man coverages and when to expect the ball. But good for him. I think, hopefully he hangs on. I know you were talking about it, Sean, that they kind of screwed up where he got signed in the first place and who's anyways.
Well, Sean, you also talked about, and Shane, the Cardinals being the destination for JoJo Ward. And Sean mentioned a lot of those instinctual parts of being a receiver were founded in him, were laid in him at UH because of the system. But talking about the Cardinals, though, do you think is looking at that crop of receivers, one of the best receiving? I mean, the Cardinals, one of the most improved team in the NFL, I think numbers-wise last year with Kyler Murray. Talk about that as a spot for JoJo.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, like Sean mentioned earlier, usually when you're in this type of situation, you gotta make your mark on special teams. Yeah. So either he's on coverage or return, he's gonna have to show that speed that we all know that he has. Watching his highlights, it was from not last season but 2018. He had one of the most spectacular catches I've ever seen, where he, I believe it was against Navy, where he caught that ball on the tiptoe at the back of the end zone. One of the best catches I've ever seen ever made by any Hawaii receiver. So we know he has the hands. We know he has the speed. It's all about getting that chance or making the most of that opportunity when you get it. And I know as Hawaii fans, we've seen that we've had a lot of players make it to the big leagues, but they've never had that chance to shine. So hopefully this time somebody will get that chance,
Well, Sean, Iman, we'll go back to you. Ro Ferris also received a free agent contract, and just talk about your reaction to that.
I think it's a good spot for him. It's really hard to make it as a free agent because you have to just pitch a perfect game, and you need to take someone's spot. You have to outplay them, and you have to show the team that you can't get rid of me. And these teams got a lot invested in these guys. They drafted them. They don't want their personnel department to look bad. So you really have to just swing for the fences and just basically pitch a perfect game. So I guess we'll see what happens.
When it comes to the NFL and making the team, now the roster number is 55, correct, this year, I believe. So a few more spots available on the roster. But given that, how many, just talk about just the volume of Raider Sean, just the volume of what it's like when you're our rookie from this point on. And you're not the only one that was taken. It's nice, but the teams usually take, 10, 12 other free agents. And talk about what just the sheer numbers look like on the roster.
Yeah, and that's hard. It's a game every team plays. You have to account for, it's like check the balances. Some of these teams that have 6-7 draft picks may keep 4. I mean, it doesn't always work that way. Also, the undrafted free agent scene. I'm thinking of my own team. Like we've had a long stretch on the Raiders where we have undrafted free agents make the team. Now, you can say that's fun, not a good sign. it's kind of showing where you're at with depth players, where your roster is as a whole. I look at the Raiders this year. I'm like, the only undrafted free agent we'll probably retain is the kicker from Utah State. We don't need wide. We addressed everything else. So the undrafted free agent thing, like Shane and Sean were mentioning, you need a break, and unfortunately, it sometimes comes from an injury, or maybe someone gets a suspension for PEDs for the first 4 or 6 games. They get a DUI. Those kind of things, unfortunately, are what you're looking to help. It's harder to break on the scene. Again, it depends on the roster you're on, but these teams nowadays, like, rookies have to fight for contracts, and then you have to look at the wave of the way the season starts going. When you start pushing into the middle of preseason, you'll see some teams that have some shocking veteran cuts. So they'll say, we have an established player, but guess what? This rookie guy, he's ready. We don't need so-and-so. He costs us too much. Love you. Thank for the organization's help. And there's these shock releases, and then those guys are jumping onto other teams. And it's a chess game, really. So it's tough. There are those drafted free agent, things that happen. I believe Doug Baldwin, undrafted free agent?
Absolutely. Out of Stanford.
Yeah, Stanford. There you go. So, and you have, like...
Well, this year,
like
36
that,
receivers were taken in the draft. 36. I mean, the sheer number.
And Green Bay didn't take any of them.
A lot of teams. Yeah, talk about that, Shane. That 36 receivers were taken in this draft. It's a high number. But when you look at this draft and the positions that came off the board and the schools that came off the board, what jumps at you the most?
What jumps at me the most?
Yeah, after this draft.
Yeah, what jumps at me the most is, like, for the average fan, like a lot of us are, or some of us are more into do more research than others. You always have that player that you want the team to draft, but 9 times out of 10, it never happens. So you're always questioning the choice, like, why? Why are you guys picking this guy? And it's always, to me, every year, it always seems like that's the case for me. It's like, okay, you guys gotta pick this guy, and then they don't. And then the next team, like, case in point, this year, I wanted them to really pick up Patrick Queen. And then they don't. And then the next team takes them. Like, what is going on? It doesn't make sense. And then so I was just Googling, and I stumbled across an article why Pete Carroll did what he did this year. And he said this year they feel like the players they picked this year wasn't project players. They don't have time to develop players. The people that they pick feel that can step in right away. Yeah. But also, I'm thinking that everybody kind of has a mentality where you need to pick people who can step in right away. Of course. But,
and that's the thing, every team, like we said, we don't know what their big board looks like. We don't know what goes on their head. We don't know if somebody reminds them of somebody that they don't like from high school or something. Like, there's always a reason that people are looked over, or prospects are looked over, or maybe there's something in their past that is a flag. But, Sean Iman, we're going to get into teams now. Well, so if you're out there and watching, I put the Zoom link in there in the in the public Facebook comments. So who knows, we could go completely off the rail. Probably not the best thing to do. But if you want to come in and share your audio, please. No video. I don't want to be responsible for any video that's coming through unauthorized. But we'll stick to if somebody wants to give their take, because we're gonna have a Seahawks and a Raiders take. I'll probably give my Rams and Chiefs take. To be honest, it is what it is. I thought they both did pretty well. And I thought the Chiefs, I think adding another, I think going for the jugular, which I feel like Andy Reid is doing right here, grabbing a running back, which is a reach, but someone who's really talented and has a lot of potential, but he's looking for Cheetah too, apparently. But, maybe that's where you go. It's hard to be in a position when you're a coach, you're like Belichick, you're winning every year. How do you stay up there? How do you stay aggressive? So that's something to talk about. But, Sean Iman, you weren't too keen on your tight ends. So talk about that.
Yeah, I just don't care for the way that Pete Carroll and John Schneider draft it. Like, I have issues with it. Like every year, like, they should do this, but they do something else, and they always blow the first pick, the first player that they take, but they tend to make up for it with their late round gems. So.
So that's what you're hoping for? Is that where your eggs are, that basket, the late round gems?
Yeah.
I got to give them the benefit of the doubt. We've been to the playoffs almost every year, for the last 10 years. So I really like the Colts draft. I like Baltimore. I like Arizona. I like Denver. I like San Francisco.
Yeah. A lot of good teams drafted this year. And, one of those teams drafted 3 receivers in the first 3 rounds. And that's somebody that's going to talk about his team, the Raiders. So I'm going to let him come in and spark up conversation, because he seems to be pretty high on how his silver and black did this draft.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought last year was a very good draft for the Raiders. They had co-offensive rookie of the year and Josh Jacobs at running back. They had also defensive rookie of the year. Max Crosby lost to Bosa and the Niners, and he was a 4th round pick. So they had 2 incredible players. A lot of the depth worked out. Renfro was a good slot player when he was healthy. They did good, but I didn't feel as confident after that draft. This draft, I feel very different. I'm majorly enthused. Mike Mayock has a lot of my confidence. I think the Henry Ruggs pick is tough for everybody, because we had our pick at any wide receiver we wanted, which is, for most people, was CeeDee Lamb, Judy, his teammate, and Ruggs. And I think getting hit with a little bit of the typical outdated player. Ruggs is fast. He's 4.3 on the clock, but he really has a bright skill set. Derek Carr doesn't throw the ball down the field, so he needs a guy that can catch a pass and do something.
What do you think?
I think Ruggs offers that.
What do you think the philosophy was for the Raiders going into this draft?
I think it was they analyzed what they had after free agency, and they basically looked at it as, we have a few needs left. For me, it was wide receiver and corner. They took a corner at 19, Damon Arnett. I mean, wasn't my pick. Everybody thought we'd trade out of that and get back in the second round. But we didn't have a second-round pick, so you can't sit on your hands from 19 to 81 and expect to get a starting corner. So they had to kind of take a reach there, and they did. Arnett's a tough guy. He's physical. He'll hit you. He'll tackle. I like those traits. I just don't think he's the 19th best player in the draft. I think anyone kind of knows that. But he is slotted to be a day-one starter. And then they got Amik Robertson, who I know we were talking about. You were talking about that. They showed his highlights.
I was like, boo!
But that guy's 5'8", but he had 14 interceptions. 14 in college. And he had like 15-plus tackles behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, 2 on Cole. 2 picks on Cole alone.
But interesting. So I didn't really like some of the haul, but when I looked at it overall, I think they really addressed a lot of good positions, areas of weakness. I think with Amik and Arnett, they have 2 corners that can help. They already have 1 good corner in Trayvon Mullen. And just the wide receivers they took, like you said, they took Ruggs, they took Bradley out of South Carolina, who a lot of people don't know much about him, but if you watch his highlights, like when he's healthy before he had his hand injury, he's a tough player. He's tough to guard. He plays physical. I think he's the wide receiver 1. I don't even look at Ruggs as a wide receiver 1. I look at him as like a luxury lethal. And then if you guys know anything about Bowden, who they took out of Kentucky, he's played quarterback, running back, slot wide receiver. He's kind of a gadget player. And Gruden's offense is so boring, the West Coast offense. I'm glad they kind of got a guy that can kind of put on a jet sweep or put him in the read option with maybe Mariota on a short down, and they have 2 guys that understand the read option philosophy. They kind of spiced up what they have to do. They need to score points. They got the Chiefs in our division. Denver built well around Locke this draft. I think they are looking pretty good. The Chargers have an incredible secondary, a good defense. Obviously, the quarterback thing, we're going to see what happens. But the Raiders had to keep up. I'm pretty confident they did well. And we'll just have to see. These guys need to get into camp as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, we don't know. Usually guys, they hear their name, they're on a plane, they're gone, or they're somewhere else, and it just moves so fast. But it's kind of nice in a way, I think, seeing families be able to be together, especially in the draft room, seeing the GMs. There are some crazy shenanigans I'm sure you've seen on Twitter with the live cameras going into so many homes around the league. But Shane, one family that we were fixated on in Hawaii, of course, was Tonga Vailoa's, and Tua goes number 5. And just talk about your impression of that.
My impression of that was I was wondering why the parents were so calm. Sitting in the back row, I was like, "Oh, you guys are like not more excited." I didn't understand why they looked so.
I mean, culturally, definitely Tua's family, Tua's dad is very serious and takes it serious, and that's a philosophy. Not every you do like to see the parents and the kids like climbing on each other and jumping on each other on the sofa or something, but definitely more stoic. But Tua, what do you think about him going to the Dolphins?
Well, we'll wait and see. I hope he proves me wrong, because if I was a general manager, I wouldn't have taken the risk, honestly, for him to come back from this. People were saying career-threatening injury, and for him to not play after that, and to just think he can come in and save an NFL franchise, that's asking a lot. So I hope he proves me wrong. I'm proud of him. I'm proud for the representation of the 808, and let's see what happens.
Well, I know there's some people out there. Everybody's got their opinion. Tua going number 5, really amazing. Marcus also another top 5 quarterback, and just what Hawaii has been able to produce, but has always been producing. But now, I just think to myself, man, if Mackenzie Milton hadn't suffered his, we'd have another one. And it's amazing to see the talent that we have, right? Back to Sean Iman, but in Hawaii, we saw a few Kahuku boys get drafted, but anybody there, we saw Notre Dame boy get drafted. Anybody jump out to you from the local grown players that got drafted?
Alohi Gilman. I think for Dallas, he's he fits a need for them. They need defensive linemen, and he can bring the pressure. I think he'll fit in right away. He'll contribute right away.
So Bradley and I going to Dallas.
Bradley and I, yes.
And
Gilman went to Chargers.
Oh, so Gilman went to Chargers, yes. But Bradley and I, you talked about that guy. You talk about Alohi Gilman. I mean, just long. These guys that go away, and Shondo, we talked about those same names popping up. Me and you spent 4 hours together during draft day, but some of the same names and those Power 5 names come up. So, what do we say when we're like, come to Hawaii? You can still make the pros. Come on, come to Hawaii.
Right.
What is our argument? Where do we go to get the recruits to Hawaii that still have those NFL aspirations?
Well, as you can see, we're sending guys to the NFL. So, if you want to play in paradise, you can make it. But, it's hard to argue against, what LSU and Alabama and the Ohio State do on a regular basis. It's, there's, about 5 schools that just continue to just dominate. The SEC in general, it's kind of like the minor league for the NFL.
I know that we've all heard the SEC cheer, which is so strange because we would never cheer Mountain West or anything, but for some reason when you're one of those teams. But Sean Hildebrand, we talked about it. It is true. We laugh about the SEC, but they're so studded, and we see those names, Bama, LSU, come across the screen. But what is it about SEC football that's different from the rest of the conferences?
Well, the SEC, what makes it different, if you look at a college football scene, the South didn't have a lot of professional NFL teams years ago. They kind of developed that. So football down there is absolutely a religion. It's you look at the type of camaraderie in these small communities and towns out there in the South. I mean, football is life. It really brings a whole different element They're looked at like celebrities from a young age. Kids that are 12, 13 years old, they're pressured to which high school, which district they're going to move to.
But are scouts looking at that? Are scouts looking at the schools when they're evaluating players?
Oh, I'm sorry. Say that one more time.
Do you think scouts are looking at the schools? They're looking at all these metrics. We got all these measurables, but does the university, does that pop out to them? If you're like the metrics are similar, they measure out the same, but this guy played for Baylor and this guy played for Hawaii. You know, do you see?
Tough. That's the truth behind to when a GM or an organization decides to take the side of a smaller school product earlier in the draft. It doesn't happen too often, but it's funny. If you look at it at the end of the day, there's so many players through the history of the NFL that I've watched that end up being so great that came from small. I mean, Jerry Rice,
yeah,
was out,
of course.
Terrell Owens, Tennessee, Chattanooga, Tony Romo, Eastern Illinois. You just go down the line.
Yeah. I mean, we look like guys that are playing right now. I mean, like Cheetah going to West Alabama. I mean, we're seeing guys, skill position players that are coming from Division II that can come from anywhere. You know, and but as we know, it's not an easy thing to pick players. It's not an exact science. But I want to see if anybody's got a question for our panel, or you want to come in and make a comment. Come in. I pinned the Zoom link to the top, so I see some people in there. Kaveh, who's out there watching? Timmy, I know he's been keeping up with us a lot. Bradley, Bradley Duvall, who's out there. If you see Bradley, he's one of my best friends of all time, and him and I would be going to UH games together when we were in middle school, and we went to New Orleans together. We went to a lot of games. So a lot of what this program means is family, and like we talked for all three of you as well, this program is more than just a team you follow, right? And we'll start with Sean as well. Talk about that, what Hawaii football, and means to you.
Oh, me?
Yeah, go for it. Whoever wants to talk at this point.
No, I think Hawaii football, first of all, that's my alumni, and I'm not born and raised from here. I've been here 16 years, but I think Hawaii football just resonates with me. It's just a piece of fabric to the local community.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of things, I mean, you guys are born and raised from here. I've been here 16 years, and things have changed so drastically and dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
Just the housing, the type of people moving here, people moving away in droves. You lose a lot of these local feelings. But I feel like when I go to a UH game, whether I know we're under-attended, but when I go walk around the parking lot and the tailgates, I feel that sense of local community and vibe.
Yeah.
And that's nice. It's reassuring, and it's good to feel that. A lot of beaches I used to go to, a lot of bars and places, they just don't feel the same because the demographic is changing here. So I feel like going to these UH sporting events, whether it's the Stan Sheriff Center or Law Stadium, you feel that like authentic vibe, and that's something that like lures me in and attaches me. So for me, it means a lot because sense of community, friendship, aloha, and just feeling like a different vibe outside of, the hyper tourism and different, all the rich moving here, and we're losing friends. I have so many friends that have moved to Vegas and Seattle and Oregon. So it means so much to go and see the people that are still here and still loyal, and enjoy something that has an identity piece to what Hawaii is about, not just sports. So that's what draws me in.
But and Shane, he mentioned what Sean being only here for 16 years, he talked about her. But for you, who grew up around Hawaii football and remembers the stadium even opening, and or maybe not remember it, but was around from the beginning of this stadium, which we're gonna dispose of pretty soon. A lot has changed in the crowd as well, in the fan base, and why is that? Because Sean, in only 16 years ago, he latched on, and things were still high, and he wasn't even here in the 80s or the 90s when there was 45,000 people every week. What has changed, and how do we change it? How do we get back to those days,
I think a lot of things is with Hawaii and the culture here. It's they don't, they don't adapt to change well or something, because we're not developing with the times. It's still the same sound system and stuff that we had forever. I know a lot of people complain about the PA announcer guy and stuff. So I guess the program really needs to look deep within itself, because like we kind of went on this before, and how they should just see what other programs are doing, and like take the Dallas Cowboy Rams game that came here.
Yep.
How fun! Everybody said, "Oh, we had such a good time. It was so fun." And they gotta think out of the box or something.
Well, looks like we might have. Okay, Jared is about to join us, so I'm gonna let him in. I'm gonna go to a title screen real quick. Well, let me let him in real quick. So you just got me on your screen right now, but Jared, if you're out there, I'm about to bring you in. So where did he go? He left. Oh no, where did you go? Come back. I was about to segue into him. Okay, hold on. If you're out there, Jared, come back. Or was it Joyce? Joyce Lau. We want somebody to... Okay, well, I'll wait for them to come in. Everybody's being shy, I guess, now. But I had somebody ready to come in, so we'll wait for them to come back in. But, Sean Iman, back to you then. Let's talk about what the next step is for this program. Every year there's something to do with, whether it's the draft, like we say in this year, and the people that have come in. It's like one big cycle. It's the high school kids or the JUCO kids and where they go, and where does UH need to focus right now its efforts on?
I think UH needs to work on selling an experience instead of selling just a seat in a stadium. Like the guys touched on before, that Rams Cowboys game was so exciting. The game was secondary. It was everything else, like what happened before. Like I got to meet Eric Dickerson, just watching the fans, the interaction, and there was just excitement in the stadium. And I know Hawaii's kind of like a pro island, they like the NFL, and UH kind of runs a distant second, maybe even third to the NFL, but it's our team. So we need to do a better job of supporting it, but at the same time, they need to do a better job of marketing and getting the fans excited to be there, because that in turn affects the type of recruits we can get and the number of games we'll get on television.
Every year.
Okay, so we got Jared on now with us. So Jared, can you hear me?
Sure.
One big cycle.
Okay, turn down your radio. This is like when Bobby Curran has to be like, turn down your volume. So hold on real quick. I'm going to
We have to go on mute. Everybody has to mute. There we go. Now we're muted.
There we go. So it's Joyce. Oh, so Joyce Lau. Do you want to bring on video, Joyce Lau? Do you want to be on video, or do you want just audio?
No.
Okay, because you got a cool little thing back there. But Joyce Lau is joining us. She is the best. We love her. Oh my gosh, I have her by accident inside. Hold on. Hold on, Joyce Lau. Sorry.
I'm all in my boro.
Okay, Joyce, what do you want to say? Joyce, we love you. We miss you. How you been?
I miss you guys.
How have you been?
Good.
Wow.
I already had my wine, so I'm doing good.
Oh my gosh. Well, you also been, somebody that's on the move a lot. What has it been like for you without UH football to keep you?
I know, so sad. We've been talking about whether or not there's going to be a season this year, and if not, I mean, it's devastating, right? All the trips that we had planned, the road trips.
I know.
What are we going to do?
I know. Well, you talk about what? Well, we're talking about the draft and Cole. I know you're really close to Cole and his mom Rona, and we love having her and John and all of Cole's family. But talk about what how you felt seeing Cole get drafted too.
Yeah, talk about that.
Oh, I mean, that was great. Was so happy for him, and it was so nice,
to see him still, representing Hawaii. So hope he gets to play and make us proud.
And who's your team? We saw you. We saw you wearing you got a special. I saw your special.
Or our face mask.
Your face mask. Yeah, talk about that. So who was your team that you got the face
mask for the NFL? So like my husband Eddie, he's a 49er fan. My son Jared is a Patriots fan.
Since '94.
Yeah, and I'm a Broncos fan.
There you go. He had to put it in there, Jared. Like '94.
Yes.
I love that. Well, you got the gang there. Tell us who's there with you.
Jared.
That's it.
Jared. Who else is there with you?
Hey, how's it going?
Okay, we got Sean Iman and Shane and Sean Hildebrand on here with us as well. We got the Laos. We got all the fanatics. We got Fuchsia in the comments. I invited her on. She didn't want to come on, but Lao family.
Yeah, what about Pennie?
I know we want Kaveh to come on, and Pennie was on first, so you got to go back and see Pennie. She's the best.
Okay.
We love Auntie Pennie, but we talked about how at UH, Joyce Lau, also one of those people, you were the executive director of NACOA, and
I was membership and special events.
Okay, membership and special events. So you see her a lot at the game. Someone who loves to be there in the stand. Someone who does sideline control. What is sideline control? Please explain that to us. Since we see that on your shirt at the stadium.
Making sure people with the right credentials are where they're allowed to be. Certain credentials allow you to be in different areas.
So no jumping on the field.
You just got to make sure that the right people are in the right place.
So no, even if it's the BCS, no can run on the field if Joyce Lau is on the field. Might get tackled. But who else is there with you? Who else, somebody want to say something? We want to hear from our Lau family.
Yeah, you can say hi. Jump on. Just say hi. Glorious.
I have a question about the sideline control.
Okay, we have a question for you.
Because I was fortunate to go I had sideline passes to go once, and I've had offers again. But when I went down, because I'm a very passionate vocal fan, so when I was on the sideline, they said, "Hey, you cannot cheer. Like, you gotta be quiet." So I was like, "What?" So I went back up to my seat because I'm like, I cannot stay on the sideline if I cannot cheer.
You're allowed to cheer, but they don't want any derogatory.
Oh, I wasn't saying
or bad against the official. That kind of stuff.
You can cheer, but you cannot cut down the officials.
Yeah.
There you go. Keep it positive.
I wasn't saying anything to the officials. I was just doing my stop.
Jane, you're too extra.
If you were on my side or Eddie's side, then we would have let you do that.
Okay. Good to know.
Well, thank you, Lau family. Any last comments that you have for us?
Well, we hope for football season to really happen.
Mm-hmm.
We wish all our Bulls and the pros. We hope they do well.
Yes.
And I want my Broncos to do good this season.
Oh yeah, you gotta talk. You didn't say how your Broncos. We said that they did. We talked about them. Drew Lock and.
Got some speed, man.
How do you feel about the Broncos? Joyce Lau, talk about your Broncos, Joyce Lau.
Talk about the Broncos. Your thoughts on their picks.
Well, I really don't know that kind of stuff. I like their uniform. Okay, let's be honest.
And that's what matters. It don't matter. That's the thing about football. You can like it for whatever reason you want, but the more people we get around our UH program, especially that love it, even if it's for our awesome uniforms, which we do have some pretty slick uniforms and a logo and some colors. So whatever it is, whatever we can bring to our program might bring more people in. But thank you, Laos, for joining us. It was our first ever call on our Sunday shout out. So thank you for joining us. But we're gonna close up over here as well. We got, what's our last words? What do you got to say, Sean, Shane?
talking about uniforms, they have that thing on Hawaii Athletics, the best helmet contest. So you gotta vote for your favorite UH helmet throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing about, I know we talked about it earlier, how they always get information about UH wrong. But I've been getting multiple texts saying like, "Oh, Cedric Bird, he's also on the Cardinals." But if you go to multiple sites,
yeah,
it
it's
says
just
Cedric
weird.
Boyd.
I know. That's why I was so
Jojo
confused.
Ward.
I was
I
so
think
confused.
People think that Jonathan Ward is Jojo Ward and Cedric Boyd, which is supposed to be Jojo Ward. It's just all messed up. So no, Cedric Bird is not on the Cardinals. Everybody, it's a mistake.
Any last words from our Seans, our panel of Seans?
Yeah. I think this is Sean E. The Roger Goodell, that draft helped to humanize him. I don't hate him as much.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I want to hang out at Cliff Kingsbury's house. I want to go on Jerry Jones's boat.
Yeah.
I don't like what the Seahawks did, but I'm supporting these guys. I'm behind them. I got to get over it. It happens every year.
Yes.
Go Hawks, and tune in to Call the Coach tomorrow with Todd Graham, 6:30, ESPN 1420.
Yeah.
Since I do free advertising for ESPN 1420, apparently on my platform, but thank you.
Yeah, I don't know.
But we got the Seahawks, we got the Raiders, we got a lot of football hopefully coming down the pipeline soon. We're hoping that we have a season, obviously, but for everyone out there, we just want to remind you, this is a time for us to all be vigilant and to do what you need to do. So stay healthy. We're all in this together, and we, just like all of you, are just waiting to get back to the field and getting way back to the stands and wherever we are as fans. But mahalo to my esteemed panel, and we're going to have our UH football fan stream back on Wednesday. So Wednesday 5 Hawaii, and we'll see you there. All right, guys. Aloha.
Aloha.
Jeez, thank you.
Good fun.
Go Bulls.